This is the gardening season 2017, so stay tuned and I'm going to talk about our garden year. Welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. We're in the garden today. I've got it all plowed, and I'm going to turn it over at least 3 or 4 more times to get the soil deeper. I have to buy a new belt for the rototiller. It's slipping as the belt ages, it stretches and slips, so I want to get a good bite on it, and I think I need to sharpen the teeth on the tines. I've never sharpened them before, so I think it's time to sharpen them. So we're going to go ahead and work on the garden early spring, and then by Mother's Day we should have some planting done. I got a head start on my vegetable crop this year. We started a bunch indoors. These are my tomatoes, and they've been going like gangbusters. This is May 3rd, 2017, and these have had a really good chance to go. Now, again, these were started from seed. In addition to those tomatoes, I have some hot peppers and sweet peppers started. They're about this tall already. I also have some cucumber and some Brussels sprouts. Now, my Brussels sprouts are about this big already. And so, like I said, we got an early start this year on planting. This is the first time ever. We were also able to start sage and basil along with this mint. And then there's another tomato that we started. And then my wife has a rose bush. It's supposed to be a miniature rose bush she's got going there. And then this little plant. Plus she has these charming little basket features here that she started indoors. And we were able to bring them out yesterday. I just wanted to point out I am not an expert gardener. I'm just learning what I can on each individual plant, like my raspberries. I'm growing raspberries. I consult my books I have in my library that I've collected on gardening, and also seeing what universities suggest on their websites. Like the extension offices on growing, so I can have a better foundational knowledge of gardening, so in the future I can be more successful. For those of you who are new to my channel, I'm going to just briefly introduce the garden area I have selected here at Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. The garden size is 50 foot by 50 foot. I have quartered it out to 25 foot by 25 foot quadrants in the garden area, and each section has their own use and purpose on which I'll be focusing. For instance, this area right here, which is the southeast quadrant of my garden, I'm going to dedicate this to just corn. And so this will be primarily a single crop with corn. And then I'm going to try to do that companion crop growing this year. I experimented with it last year and wasn't too successful. So I have some stuff that I'm going to be using this year, and I've done some more exploration and studying on growing corn. And so we're going to be trying and growing those companion crops with corn this year. With this quadrant, we're going to be doing some longer season growing crops. We'll see how I can do. Like in the back there, I've got trellises. I'm going to be adding more trellises for peas and beans. So we're going to be doing that along the back fence to try to create some kind of a deterrent to keep the deer from jumping this fence and getting into the garden. Eventually I will be replacing all the fencing with a taller, more fortified fence that's more permanent. All of here is just a temporary fence which I put up with the material I had, because like I said, we're kind of poor and we have to make do with what we've got. With this quadrant right here, this is the northwest quadrant. I plan on mainly putting in raised beds in this quadrant right here. And the reason for raised beds is because I'm going to be doing crops that once I plant, they come back year after year. So this is going to be a good spot to be putting in a couple of beds of strawberries and rutabaga, artichoke, and asparagus primarily will be planted in this area right here, because those crops, once you get them in, they come back year after year, but they'll still be needed to be tended. Like strawberries, you'll need to tend those year after year, but you don't have to really replant them. Just cut them back, and then occasionally, about I think it's every other year or every 2 years, replant. Redo the root crop, something like that. I'll study it and figure out how to do strawberries. This right here will be my grape trellis. I got this temporarily up right now. I've got to get down and get some 4x4 posts and put in a more permanent structure to train the grape up. I do have this grape. This is the 3rd year of growth that I've got on it. I think I've had it 3 years. Yeah, I've had it 3 years. The first year it died back, but the roots stayed wick, so we were able to nurture that. I had 2 other grape I purchased with this one, but they completely died, and then my son bought me a grape and I planted it, and it's doing great. It's warmed up now. The peas are really taking off up this trellis that we built, and this is an experiment. We're going to see how this works out. And so far the hay bales seem to be a flop. Everything that started growing in there has been eaten. Something got in there and ate every little sprout that was coming up. So you can see I have a lot of work yet to do on the gardens. But stay tuned, hang in there with me, and I'll be producing videos in the gardening series for 2017. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen, here at Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'd like to thank you guys for coming. We'll see you guys again later. Bye-bye.